immigrated first to Berlin, and I lived there for a year and a half, and then it was super dark and cold and depressing, so I needed to come to Portugal for some sun and some good vibes. And I've been here about 4 years, over 4 years, and yeah, I love it here. It's great.
My name is Viviana. I am originally French, but I've been moving around quite a lot already. I was living in Berlin for 12 years before coming here, and actually I came here because of a dream that I had, which just was like, you're going to be happy in Portugal, and it took a while before I actually could act on that dream, but eventually I came here in 2019. Well, at the time I was organizing retreats, and I was doing workshops and retreats in Berlin and in France, and I wanted to come and do retreats here, but then COVID happened, so it kind of became more coaching online, and that has now transmuted into this space that we have in Caldas, Rainha, where we do workshops and community projects and events and also coaching.
I was also doing retreats before I immigrated. I did one in Peru, one in Mexico, and 2 in Bali. And then I immigrated and started doing marketing because I had already had my own business for 15 years and I was wearing all the hats in my business. So I just started doing marketing for other people. And that was a great job for me online because I couldn't work physically in Europe at the time. So yeah, I started doing marketing, and then when I moved to Portugal, I was able to continue working in marketing, and then I do fitness classes, I do yoga, and cooking classes. Vegan cooking is my main specialty, so that's what I did for 15 years. And yeah, now we have a space where we can bring our skills to other people in Caldas. Bureaucracy, and then making new friends and leaving your communities and your friends that you had your long-term friendships and then trying to start them again. Those are the main challenges for me.
For me, the main challenges, the language for sure, and the bureaucracy, which is in every country, it's like that. It's the language and the bureaucracy, but also the building here in Portugal. Because that's how, I started with, I bought a property that needed work, and that was a massive challenge, actually, building work in Portugal during COVID.
This is the highest quality of life I've ever had. Yeah.
Okay.
So choosing not to live in Lisbon, where things are very, very expensive, I was able, at the time, 4 years ago, I was able to get a very nice home for, less, and I was able to work remotely. So for me, it was very high quality of life. This was the first time in my adult life that I didn't have flatmates, that I could not stress about money, basically. And so when the opportunity came to join in with Viviana on the studio space, to offer my actual fitness and yoga classes, that was a great opportunity. So that's why I jumped on that.
Yeah, I guess it makes it more, it's a little bit like, so when I moved to Berlin in 2008, and there, everything seemed possible at that time because things were, they were cheaper. So it was like, if you're going to take a risk into building something new, the risk is less. And I feel that here. It's no longer like that in Berlin because everything has gotten really expensive, but it's like that. If you want to start something new and it's a little bit experimental, there's room for that because the risk is less.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing is, obviously if you're European, you can come here freely, but as an American, having the opportunity to get a visa, Portugal is one of the easiest places to get a visa for Americans, and that we have to have a visa, and that opportunity makes life possible here. Really, that's the first step.
I was born in France, and then having a French father, Norwegian mother. My first language is English, but it's kind of messed up English. And then moved to London when I was 13, 14, and stayed there till my early 20s. So living in London, it's a very fast-paced life, very fast-paced. And from there I moved to Paris, where I worked in a photography studio for some years. And it was still fast-paced, but it was not as fast-paced as London was. And from there I moved to Berlin, which again was less fast-paced than Paris. still kind of fast-paced.
Still crazy, yeah.
And then from Berlin to Portugal, which was a completely different pace. And you know, it was like Lisbon, which is slightly more fast-paced than Coimbra, and then Caldas, which is...
It's the nice in-between.
It's really nice in between.
So nice because it's calm and you get this really friendly community vibe. So you have your favorite places you go and you know everybody's name and they know your name and they know your order, and that's just harder to do in a big city.
Yeah.
But there's still stuff to do.
But you also, everything is like, it's in this really small little bit. You have everything that you possibly need in there.
Well, if you don't, you can just go to Lisbon, which is
right.
an hour away.
Okay.
Which is what I do. Like, there's certain things that I like to do that aren't here, like West Coast swing dancing and some other things. So I can just, easily go to Lisbon for an hour away.
But in the day-to-day, there's everything that you need.
Yes.
And it's for me, it's a little bit like a Berlin Kiez. So in Berlin, you have like Kiez, which little neighborhoods that have everything in there, and it feels like a Kiez, by itself.
It does. And everybody's so friendly.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a day that goes by that I don't read a story or hear of a story where somebody got into their car fell in a ditch and it wasn't 5 minutes before the neighbor came with a robe and pulled the car out. I feel like the Portuguese people are very kind, very loving, will give their shirt off their back, and of course you have the other side, with politics and corruption, just like everywhere else, but overall, everybody is so nice. There's a real community vibe, and I see that, and actually, Caldas, this is kind of why it's so simple, but in Coimbra, when I was walking my dogs every day, and I would have a huge smile and say, "Bon dia," and nobody ever said anything back. And here I walk the dogs, and it's like every day it's like, "Bon dia," and everyone just has this huge smile. It's also a real family vibe here, Like, it's normal for people to look after their parents when they get older. I don't see that in any other country, and that kind of translates in the community as a whole. It's really caring. I remember coming in 2017 after the fires. I came actually in between both fires. And when I came the second time, already in the midst of all this fire, people had come together and helped each other rebuild their houses. I mean, that's amazing. That's something that you don't really see in other places. I can think of many examples, but one especially for me as an American, and with our crumbling healthcare system in the United States, and getting affordable healthcare is nearly impossible. For me, having secure healthcare has been like the number one thing that's so important as an aging person, and where I felt welcome has always been like at doctors and I go to Hospital de Luge, and everybody is really kind there. I just went again to the Eau de Valais one, and people were just so nice. It's not always the case. Like, there are times when people are not nice, but it's very comforting to know that if you have to get a surgery or something, you're not going to go bankrupt. So that's a huge thing.
I will actually, it's true, medical stuff are really nice. I had some experiences in Germany because my daughter was ill, and they were horrible in Germany, like really horrible.
I went to a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
Because I had very expensive healthcare, so I was like, oh, I should take advantage of this. So I went to like every single doctor possible.
Yeah.
And I got mixed. My advice to people, especially if you're American or British, is Portugal is not the United States at all. Like, a lot of people move here and they expect that they're going to be able to find everything in the grocery store and they're going to be able to just have the same exact life here, and it's just not possible. It's a different pace. You aren't going to have the same exact things. Like, there's certain spices that I cannot get here because it's just not in the cuisine. Like some Mexican spices. I'm from Texas, and the products that I used for my face, none of those are available here. So you have to be adaptive. You must be adaptive when you move here, or you're going to have a very hard time. But going from a European to a European country is not as drastic of a change, because the United States is so new and everything is so square and grid and boxy, and it's just a whole different vibe. Like, your world just expands. It's just a feast for the eyes when you come to Europe, and people that have never lived in Europe, some people come here and never even traveled to Europe, and then they're like, whoa, it's so different. Like, all the little streets and nothing's on a grid, and it's a totally different experience. So you have to be very gentle and slow and adaptive and understanding. Yeah,
you have to the pace has to go down. So it takes a while. If you come from a big city, you're going to have to just this anxious, fast pace. You're going to have to cool that down, wait for your coffee, accept all those things.
Yes.
But people who are well-traveled normally have figured that out, you go to Morocco and it's a whole another type of pace. I would just make sure that people understand that it is a country that is by the Atlantic, because a lot of people think that it's just going to be always sunny and warm. Yeah. And
sometimes it's like California and sometimes it's not.
And so you have people visiting and they're like, oh, it's cold. And it's like, well,
or it's been raining the whole time we've been here.
Right.
Yes, we do get rain.
Yeah, there's rain, and it gets cold, and in one day you might have to change 3 times.
Yeah.
Because
you'll get all seasons in one day.
But it's sunny, and that's the difference, You have less of these just grey days that you get in London or Berlin. So all in all, you're getting your vitamin D, you're happier,
Yes. There's a lot of young families coming here, which that's very exciting for them because they get to let their children grow up in a very different environment in the United States. And there's a lot to say about the United States with gun safety and all of this stuff. There's a lot of reasons why people are leaving and coming here, because we just don't have the same fears. You don't have to worry when you're walking down the street or when you go into a shopping mall. So I think it's very exciting. And then people like me who are single, happy single, aging, I can have the highest quality of life here. I see my friends back in the US struggling financially or with health issues, and it's just I just don't really have so many stresses here.
So I would say there is, in the field of people kind of living off grid and living in kind of communities and this kind of thing, there's a lot of that in Portugal, and it's very easy to connect into those.
Great growing seasons where you can grow.
Yeah, exactly, where you can grow your own. Yeah.
We have the best farmers market and the best fruits and vegetables I've ever had.
Yeah. So for people who are kind of into the holistic and wanting to be a little bit more in nature and more in a community, and I'm speaking to a lot of people, and the community as the old model doesn't really seem to work, and a lot of people have figured that out. So it's more like a community in a village style. So you get pockets in different places in Portugal, and people don't live in an old school community. They have their own property, but they're all like a village. And you get that. I mean, that's what attracted me the first time when I came to Portugal. I went to visit some friends who lived up by Benfeita or Coja up there. And they took me to this village festival, and there was just like a huge long table, and everyone was asked to bring one dish and 2 plates. And the whole village had this like lunch together. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want. I want like this type of community vibe. I guess a part of what I do beyond the energetic work is also trying to help other people who are into the holistic world make money by doing their own courses and selling them online. And I'm using this space here to film and edit courses for other people. And then help them with the promotion and coaching them through the launch and things like that.
So yeah, I had an online course teaching people how to cook vegan with a fitness program, and that was quite successful for many years. So we both have experience with having our own courses and making our own courses. You have a background in film. I have a photography background, but I learned how to film on the fly, teaching myself everything. And so we have a lot of opportunity here. Like, we're always just like bouncing ideas off of each other. Like, let's do this, let's do this, do that. Like, it's a really great partnership with a lot of creative juices. And it's like, do we have time to do all these ideas?
But also, it's trying to bring things that we feel we're missing. So, for example, we were missing some like not too late, some free flow dancing that's free and where you can meet people. It's not too late in the evening, and so we've just organised that for next week.
Yes, that's very exciting because we don't want to go out at 11 o'clock at night. Like, we're a little bit older. We don't want to be going to clubs with kids, no offense. And so we decided that we'll use our space for this open dance party thing, because part of having the freedom to do what you want with your time is to create the spaces that you want.
Yeah.
And to find joy through movement. Like, for me, dancing is such an amazing thing that brings so much joy to my life, but there isn't enough places to do it. So
yeah,
basically, you build it, they will come, So that's our goal, is to offer these interesting things that we're missing in Caldas, like to bring cool stuff here. So
my hopes and dreams for the future is to open up my own retreat place. And so that would involve getting a quinta, but what I have learned from the last 10 years of working with retreats, but then also coming here and trying to build and trying to wear one hat and doing everything, is that I don't want to do that alone. And in the last 4 years, I've been meeting people who, every time I meet somebody new, where I'm like, oh, okay, yes, we could work together. Oh, this would be great. So I'm looking for partnerships with that. Because having a quinta is a whole job on its own.
I came here to open a retreat center, and then it was the pandemic, and I wasn't able to get the loan that I needed, and I realized that I did need a partner or two to make this a reality, and that's sort of the long-term goal. I would love to have a retreat center. So, but you have even a cooler idea that's even more than just a retreat center. Having like a co-op space, and having a place where people can come and do their workshops. So that would be amazing, because then I could start teaching.
I mean, I have the two. The retreat center is for the very deep work. Right. And then there's
in the nature.
There we go, in the nature. And then the other one is, workshop space, yoga space, place for projects and co-creating, photo studios, like also helping with the social media, because I do that as well. Yeah, recording people's courses, that kind of thing, but very much community based. And that would be more in the center. This was something that in the beginning I was a little bit annoyed by, was like you have to give your NIF every time you buy something. They're like, what's your NIF? And now I really love it because it makes it so simple to have all your taxes in one place. You just have this online and you can see everything that's going out. And I haven't seen that system in any other country. That's really helpful.
It's very simplified.
Yeah.
And we've already touched on this, that like the services that you might need to start a business or to do anything are easily accessible and quite affordable. A lot of people can't start businesses in the United States or other places because the cost is just too great, or they need to have investors come in. And to me, Portugal isn't that. Like, it's very welcoming to people starting a new business. Like, you think about the fees that like accountants and lawyers and these people that you need to help you, even translators, the cost is so much more affordable than anywhere else in the United States or London or anything like that. So it's the land of opportunity if you want it. You just have to build it, you know?
I generally do all my kind of inner work at home, my meditation, my yoga, my movement, and I work a lot online, so I tend to do that at home. And this is why having this space is quite great, actually, because when you're working alone at home on the computer so much, it's good to have like contact with people.
I do a monthly board game meetup. I do West Coast swing dancing, belly dancing. I like hiking and walking and lifting weights. And I have like a ladies dining out group that I organize stuff with. So there's just, now it's summer, so there's free music and parties happening all the time. So yeah, I like to go see live music. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff to do.
I mean, for me, I guess most people who know me would describe me as an extrovert, but having met you, I think I'm an introvert. Because my free time is spent like going to the beach or walking my dogs or spending time with my mom, because I brought my mom over with me to Portugal. Or like making my own cosmetics or making fermented sodas or like, you know, painting or doing that kind of thing. I actually know a lot of architects and people who are building houses who really need some trained carpenters, trained builders, trained plumbers, electricians. All of those are really needed, and actually I think it's at a point right now in Portugal where people have understood that the cost of living is not as cheap as it was 10 years ago, and they're willing to pay to save time. So those skilled people they're really needed in Portugal at the moment.
There is a lovely business association here that helps people get started with their business, and I went in and chatted with them, and one of the guys spoke English. He was super helpful. I have a good friend that just opened an atelier. She does print workshops, printmaking, and she was able to get a studio and set up her business and show her art. She did it all within like a month. So, you know, there are so many opportunities here, and like you said, it's so much more affordable, less risk, so you can start a business for sure if you wanted to, or, you know, have other kinds of success. Like for me, having a happy life is a success. Like having a high quality of life, getting to do what I want with my time, having security, friendships, community. like I'm having the best time of my life.